And I never met Jordan Peterson in person. But I said to him when we met right before lunch, something that is said to me by so many people who meet me for the first time: I feel like I know you. And that is the highest compliment in effect. I now understand what a compliment it is when I receive it, because I never gave it to somebody before you. And I have watched you for hours and listened to you and read your book. And in fact, I didn't just read your book, I heard your book from you. So I want to tell you something without embarrassing you, but I think I like to, you open your heart and your mind, and so do I. When I was very young, I realized that God or nature had given me what I have called a goodness detector. And
gurus appreciate people with open hearts, open minds, open legs.
I always knew when
I mean, there are many ways to teach Torah, right? You can teach Torah over Facebook. You can teach Torah in person. You can teach Torah over Zoom. You can teach Torah through the tip of your penis. I mean, the various ways that you can teach Torah, be a guru, right? They're infinite. Open hearts, open minds, open legs.
I was in the presence of a good person, because that's all I really care about. I think brains are wildly overrated. Wildly. That's why I think you're not bright if you join Mensa. Why you would want to announce to the world your IQ is so bizarre to me that I'm sure there are nice people there, but
maybe people like to, hang out with people with whom they have something in common. Like if you're eligible for Mensa, 99% of the population is going to be rather boring to you. So people are desperate to connect with people. I think it's probably, a legitimate, useful way to connect with people.
I don't understand it, but I always picked up that, and I've always been right. I'm batting 1,000 essentially. And when I heard you read your book,
he's always right, guys. He is always right. He is just such a finely tuned instrument for detecting good people. He's always right. He has prescience, right? This is what you hear from gurus all the time. Like, I just played a few clips, and it's like, I'm always right about this. Whenever I've differed from the majority, I've always been right. I said many years ago, my predictions came true. Right, so this is great. Like Jordan Peterson and Sprague, like these are two gurus. All right? Gurus who recognize another guru, anglers who recognize another angler, like con artists who respect each other's game.
Passion comes from, I just want to help people lead a better life. And
that's me. I just want to help you guys lead a better life. That's all I want to do. And like, smash that like button, send down those super chats. But I just want to help people lead a better life. That's all. It's really quite overwhelming. It's really quite overwhelming, guys.
It's quite overwhelming. You didn't just read that book. I won't say you sang it, but I like that you use music. I'm very much into music too.
It's just so beautiful what you did with that book. I was just so moved. I can just tell, I know that you're a good person. You're a good person like me and those of us who think the way we do, right? Our in-group, we're just, we're good people. We're clear thinking people. And we yearn. We're desperate. We so horny. We so horny for high quality criticism, right? We so horny for intellectually honest criticism. We so horny for robust criticism. If only we could encounter some high quality, intellectually honest. Me so horny for that robust, high quality criticism. Unfortunately, all the critics, they're just at such a low level, but me so horny. So
this is the man that I'm honored to have this dialogue with, because everybody knows you're bright, but I know you're good. So I wanted to state that at the outset.
I have something to say about that.
Good.
He's always he's just about to cry.
See, I don't think it's true. I mean, this is why I got motivated to do what I've been doing. And I've been doing what I've been doing for, I would say, since about 1979 in one form or another. Because things take a long time to generate. And one of the things I learned in the early 80s was that people have a great capacity for evil. And I didn't really understand that of myself until the early 80s, something like that, after meditating on it for a long time. And so I would say, it's not that I would never claim to be good. I think it's dangerous. But I did become terrified of how terrible I could be. And I mean, I became terrified about how terrible human beings could be. And that's one thing, but that's easy. It's easy to confuse that with other human beings. It's a different thing to understand that it's true of yourself.
So if I call Jordan Peterson and Dennis Prager con artists, I'm just saying that's a portion of what they're doing. I'm sure without even realizing, a portion of what I'm doing is con artistry too, right? We're all, fooling ourselves, fooling other people. Dennis says some good things, some smart things, some funny things. I'm sure Jordan Peterson says some good, smart, wise things too. These are not, deliberate con artists in the conventional sense of the term, but there is a con that's operating here, and you will, in all likelihood, have less clarity, right? You'll, in all likelihood, be damaged the more content you take in by Dennis Prager. I just don't know enough about Jordan Peterson.
I often recommend to my students that they read history as a perpetrator and not as a victim or a hero. And people very seldom do that, and it's no wonder. But I would say, perhaps, that I became terrified enough from learning what I learned that I tried to avoid the pathways that lead people to the dark places that they go. And there's something in that that might approximate good.
Yeah, it does approximate good. I would agree with that.
So Dennis Prager, from first grade through 12th grade, he was always elected president of his class because he has charisma. He's got a sense of presence. And remember, he told me in January 29, 1994, it brings me a sense of peace that, that if something happens to me, that you'll be there to carry on the fight for good values. Right? Can you imagine me as a, disturbed, lonely, troubled, anxious, depressed, frightened, young man starting to get some recovery from years of being bedridden? You can imagine how intoxicating that was. Now I realize that Dennis says this to dozens, if not hundreds, if not thousands of people. But he's very good at tuning in to the troubled, needy, anxious types and providing it with reassurance. It's like when I go to a party, right? I can just ding, ding, ding. I'll find the women who have fathers who are sex addicts, right? Just ding, 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 ding. I will find my way to them. Right. Here's another great intellectual from Fox News and Talk Radio, Mark Levin, posing tough questions here to Donald Trump.
I've talked to a lot of important people, Supreme Court justices, presidents, presidential candidates, brilliant people. And talking with you is really the most impressive conversation I've had. Number one, there's very few people who could sit there and speak the way you do, from subject to subject to subject to subject. If people would let you speak and actually listen to, while you have the enormous pressure on your shoulders of these grand juries and other things going on, and you still are able to do it. That is absolutely remarkable.
Amazing.
As you go through the history of your
How do you do
presidency, and I read these letters in this book,
How do you do it? Show me how
it
to
was a
love you.
phenomenal presidency.
Wow.
Phenomenal presidency.
How do you do it?
And the reason you don't get the credit that you deserve is because perhaps that's going to be up to history. When people look back and say, wait a minute, he was right about this and this and this and so forth.
History, we're going to have to wait for history. I mean, this is just like Dennis Prager. I told him in something like 1995, I was frustrated that his teachings weren't more influential in Jewish life. And he said, my teachings won't be recognized for another millennium.